November, sending my ops manager at my place. I'll be at another event in Dallas, Texas. So
Oh,
I'll definitely be
nice.
there in March, though.
Okay, are you going to the high level event in Dallas in this month?
No, so actually Tony Robbins going out
Oh,
there.
nice.
Yeah, so I've been amped for that particular event for a
I
while
got
now.
a I got a Tony Robbins here. I think my journey of learning started out with Awaken the Giant Within, and
Nice.
I have to admit I haven't finished the entire book, but and back then I was still reading. Now I listen, and by the way, we're live too.
Awesome.
Um, so, guys, today we have Austin Hauser. Austin Hauser is built out an amazing marketing agency called Base Coat Marketing, really helping painters yeah, get to the next level. And Austin's got a great story. I've been lucky enough to follow his journey in one of the groups that we're both part of, and would love to hear today from Austin. What's going on, Austin? You want to give us a brief about who you are and what Base Coat Marketing does?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on today. So, Base Coat Marketing is a niche focused marketing agency. We exclusively work with professional painting companies. Generally, like our primary target audience is going to be doing somewhere between a million and 5 million a year. So, not your small mom and pop shops, the guys who are really looking to scale. And we just kind of fell into this niche over the last couple of years. We've been in this space since about 2008. And yeah, we've scaled pretty quick over the last 2 years in particular.
Did you say 2008?
So I've been in the marketing game since 2008. I started up an agency back in college, and a very generalist agency. So we worked with
Hmm.
banks, restaurants, any kind of business that was looking for marketing services. We would work with them, big brands. Over the years, we just started acquiring some painting companies, and just identified we were great at generating results for them. So decided to really double down in that space here about 2 years ago.
That's awesome, man. That sounds very interesting. So you make it sound really simple. You've been at it for some time. So what like made you get into the game early on? Because usually, like right after college, people would want to work and get jobs and things like that. Do you want mind walking us through your journey?
Yeah, so I actually have a book framed on my wall. It's How to Make Your Own Web Page is the name of the book, and it was like just HTML 1.0 basic, like it was written in like the early 2000s, late 90s. And back in high school, I was creating websites. I was in a band, and I used to play the drums, and I was in multiple bands at the time. So we would create a website for these different bands, and this is whenever like MySpace was real big. So I picked up, the whole website design development side of that over the years. Found out I can make money off of it when
Hmm.
there was a local dog shop in our town that was looking for a new site. And I'm like, you know
Hmm.
what? I could use some dog food. So I created them a website, and
Nice.
it just all kind of spiraled downhill from there.
Awesome, man. That's great. So that's when you really got into this marketing niche after university, and that's back in North Carolina.
Yeah, so it went from me just creating a web presence to looking at it from an actual ROI standpoint. So I think there's two mindsets whenever we're looking at like the website side of things. It's, you can create a presence like a business card,
Hmm.
or you can actively market that and have it rank well, and start pushing ad paid traffic to it. Um,
Hmm.
and it was whenever I was in college that I started to align everything that I was learning in school. I feel like I'm one of the few people that I know that actually took what they learned in school and applied
Yeah.
it to their actual real
Yeah.
life. But yeah, I went to school for computer science, computer security, math, and business. So I walked away with 4 degrees. I was a nerd that went to summer class all 4 years of college, and applied all of those to the marketing world. And I always like to say, if I could do college all over again, I would have
Hmm.
gone to be some sort of psychiatry or psychology degree. The human mind is fascinating, but the nice thing about that is in marketing, it's all the same, just applied to how you can make money from it.
Hmm. You and I read somewhere you went to school for data science as well, right? So that did that convert into helping you out with, like for example, media buying is big on data science?
Yeah. So back in college, I was part of an internship, and that's whenever I really started understanding from a business standpoint why people invest in marketing and what they
Hmm.
expect out of that. And that's whenever I just fell in love with the numbers, the spreadsheets, everything that goes in hand with that, and just
Hmm.
identifying the trends. I love taking the law of averages and applying it to a real world application. And that
Hmm.
is taking multiple accounts and an even playing field. So you're comparing apples to apples and
Hmm.
identifying why one is different than the other and how you can apply those two together.
That's awesome, man. And I think that's, for example, me, I started my journey back in 2008, and that was just exactly, building out some websites. And, back then, uh, I did some faxes to my local list and, got my first few clients and stuff like that. But, that making that connection that early on, I think that's a great thing that you're explaining. And it's a value bomb, really, because most of us, we don't make that connection. We're like, okay, let's start out by building websites, and it's just going to be that business card out there. You're not really tying everything together. And that's when, and that's where usually I've seen my own progression, when I went from just doing websites to also doing SEO and making sure that I'm bringing in leads for my clients, and we're reporting back on leads. But that took me a long time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm glad you figured that part out early on. So walk me through, like, what happened between 2008 and now. How did you get to base court marketing over the years?
So I mentioned I have one book framed on my wall about how to build a web page. I'm working on getting another book here. Yeah, grab this one. Good old Josh Nelson. So um, I stumbled across his book about 2 years ago, October of 2021. I think we're going back to,
Yeah.
and it really resonated with me. And the whole concept is you pick an industry that you know well and you hammer down on that. And
Hmm.
I think the thing that a lot of people fail at is trying to run a generalist agency. You are one person in a sea of other agencies, and we look at
Hmm.
the blue ocean strategy, right? And I looked at our client base, and we had some very big brands out there, advertising, millions of dollars a month in ad spend. And
Hmm.
like, that's a good opportunity, but that's not scalable. And
Hmm.
the thing that I realized is if we identify one niche and focus on that, we can copy and paste that model over and over and over again and get really good at generating results for our clients.
Hmm.
Being a generalist agency, you might knock it out of the park in one market and then absolutely fail in another industry because they're so
Yeah.
different. You have to relearn the whole cog all over again.
Yeah.
When you have one industry to focus on, it's the ability for you to scale that quickly just is exponential. And that's what really was the light bulb moment for me. So after I picked up Josh's book, I decided to look at our customer base and identified that we had several painting companies that we were getting great results for. And
Hmm.
that's the one. That's what we're going to do. So I doubled down on base coat marketing, pulled that team over, and scaled that team to what it is today.
Love it, man. That's great. So also before, and I think that's another great value bomb there by Austin, that invest in coaching, because for me, joining Josh Nelson's group back in 2020, was an eye opener for me. Is similar experience as you. Uh, can you tell me what stage in your agency you were at this point, like in terms of size and things like that, as a generalist agency? And at what point and was Josh your first coach that you invested in, or were you basically on your own before this, or you had some help?
So my generalist agency, by all metrics, was pretty damn successful. We weren't doing what we're doing with base coat marketing, but it was a livable wage. But I owned
Hmm.
a job. It wasn't a business. It wasn't a true business that you could scale and
Hmm.
sell.
Yeah.
But yes, Josh was my first coach, and I cannot emphasize this enough to anybody who's listening. Go find your coach. Like, you cannot expect to scale if you're trying to reinvent the wheel every single time. Take the insight, take the advice from others who have already paved that path, and then put your own little twist on it. And that's what
Yeah.
we've done here. Um,
And just to interject there as well, like I think so many of our clients are also working with Josh Nelson, and friends that I know like you, Austin, who work with Josh. And there's also, and we've worked with a lot of coaches in the niche. And I feel that the seven-figure agency is because, and I think the unique perspective that Josh brings is that he's been there and done that. And that's the most important thing to me, that hey, have you built a $5 million agency? And then I'm learning from that, right, on that side. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you are looking for a recommendation, I would highly recommend him.
oh,
um,
I cannot agree more. Josh is one of the most honest, trustworthy. There's another word I'm looking for there. But he is just one of the most kind people I've ever met, just always willing to give. And I try to give back as much as I can. Josh is not my only coach. I do pay for others, different specialty coaches. And obviously, as we mentioned at the beginning of this, I'm going out to Dallas for a Tony Robbins event
nice.
next month. And then also in December, I fly down to Palm Beach for another event of his. So all mindset. And I really think 90% of running a business is all about
I
your
love
mindset.
it, man. Like that's what we do, right? Entrepreneurs, when we find something that works, we double down on it.
Mhm.
And kudos to you, man. We have five, by the way. Now we started out with Josh, but we invest in a lot of coaches. And I think it's definitely worth it. Once you get a hang of it,
100%.
you'll never go without them.
Yep.
All right. So now base code marketing, so you got this amazing idea, which was a aha moment that why the hell are we not doing this? It took me so like, and you don't believe it, right? Like you've seen some of these niche based agencies over the years, and we just continue to hammer down on what we wanted to do. Um, but now we got this amazing idea, and you got to base code marketing. So maybe explain to me like what's going on now, and how have you scaled since 2021 on the base code marketing business?
So yeah, I have a bit of I would say, a unique trajectory that I took with base coat marketing that may differ from most other agency owners. So I took a big portion of what I was making from my legacy agency, which is still around today. I still have clients over there. It's just more or less on cruise control. And I told my wife, I'm like, look, I got a book. It resonates with me. The math makes sense on paper. I think I can get this to scale pretty quick. And I'm like,
Hmm.
let's take a gamble. Let's put some money down and let's make this thing go. So this is going back to February 1st of last year. It was the day that I got all the ad campaigns up, launched this thing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, Going about 30 days, month and a half later, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. So roughly less than 2 months into this journey, diagnosed with something that was not to be expected, right? Especially at the age of
Wow.
34, 35. And uh, immediately had to pivot my strategy and how quick I was looking to scale at that point. I was going to undergo a surgery that was going to have me down for roughly 6 months. And at the time, didn't even know what I was going to come out looking like on the other side of that. Now, fortunately, it was all benign, but
Okay.
brain surgery nonetheless. So I flew out to California, underwent a surgery out there. And this entire time I'm running the business in the background. I came out of that surgery pretty okay. Um, and it was
So you're
immediately hit.
running you're running the business when you were on bed and going through all your surgery and stuff.
So
Crazy, dude.
I had a
And that was
number.
a new business you're starting
Yeah,
almost, right?
yeah. And I had a number of clients at the time. Like I was picking up most of my clients at that point by investing in Google paid search. But one thing I recognized early on was the fact that I would not be able to scale that effectively if I was strictly relying on paid search. So what I
Hmm.
immediately started doing, I knew that I had a short runway for the monetary investment that I could make, but I had a limited time investment that I could put down. So I started creating content, knowing that in any platform, whether it's, Google, Facebook, Instagram, you're either exchanging your time to create
Hmm.
content or you're paying to have your business shown to where to the audience that you're trying to target.
Hmm.
So I invested my time into content creation in the form of SEO, just creating high quality blog posts, value adding content out there.
Hmm.
Um, and that's what allowed me to have that runway eventually run out where I can then rely on organic traffic to acquire leads. So the clients that I had at that time, I called every single one and informed them of the situation. Like
Hmm.
I cannot keep you under this contract. So if you want to part ways, by all means, you're not stuck here. You know, everything's going to continue as normal. There's a team behind the scenes who's working all this out.
Hmm.
And we didn't have a single client leave. They all understood and stuck around, which was awesome. But immediately after the surgery, I was on my laptop, you know, within probably 3 days, getting some work done, and was hit with meningitis, which if you don't know what that is,
Dude.
it's awful. It's as close to death as you can get. I was within 48 hours of a brain aneurysm, according to my doctors. So
Wow.
um, that put me down. That kind of kicked my recovery back by about 3 months. It took about 3 months to really be again walking again, and
Hmm.
about 5 months to drive. So it was a slow progression after that. And really, it wasn't even until the November intensive of last year that
Hmm.
I was able to really have any sort of interaction with other people. It was like that was
Wow.
my first event, and that's whenever I joined Josh's program and really helped scale from that point on.
That's awesome, man. So a couple of takeaways from that was for me, I think the biggest one was that you knew you were going into this recovery mode with your health situation, and instead of waiting till after, you decided to do it before. So so I love that, man. That means that you're a true entrepreneur, the a student of the game, and amazing, man. Like kudos to that decision there.
Thank you.
And then being, I think one thing that you mentioned also, the contracts that you, so I'm assuming, so for people who are listening to us, is that for the base coat marketing, you kind of came up with a simpler contract which is all inclusive, and now you're taking your legacy clients from the old contracts which you were billing separately and things like that, and you're moving them all over to this new simpler contract. Is that what happened here?
So we had some legacy clients that we moved over. Most of the clients that we had at that point were actually newly acquired clients. The clients that we had before were actually some of the larger franchise clients that we still had some legacy services that we were doing for some of their franchise owners. But the bulk of the clients that I had at that point last year were primarily just new accounts that we had just signed up. And yeah, my options were I can cut loose and figure out the rest later, or I can double
Hmm.
down and really make this thing work. And I chose the latter.
That's awesome, man. That takes a lot of courage. Amazing. So now that we're on that, and I think, and that's another thing that I knew of before, that you're focused on SEO, and like really, like you really simplified the SEO stuff, which is like high quality content, or publishing content that is going to help people out. Really, right? It's that simple.
That's it.
Real problem solving out there, and that turned into at this point where I think a big chunk of your leads are coming in from SEO. What's the marketing like on your side to pull in new clients for base coat marketing? What are you doing right now?
So I really want to just nail down the whole SEO side. So for any of those people listening in that think that they need to go buy backlinks and hit up some content writers on Fiverr or use Chat GPT, that's not how you rank your website or your client's website.
Hmm.
Google has a very defined list of what they expect from you to rank a website. And to break it down very simply, just creating helpful content. It's not that hard, but a lot of people just glaze over that and they're like, how can I game the system?
Yeah.
Google's getting
Yeah.
smarter every day. It's going to pick up on whatever games you're trying to play with it today. So we
Hmm.
don't play those games. And what that looks like is highly recommended book. It's called They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. It's what I used as the foundation to generate new content for our audience. And our strategy was look at Facebook, look at these groups that your audience is hanging out in, and identify what questions or what pain points they have, and then write content about that. Because most likely, if they're asking for it or they're searching for it on a social media platform like Facebook, they're probably also searching for it on Google. Even if
Hmm.
that search volume is ear measured, like you cannot measure that, there's not enough volume out there for it. I promise you, there's enough targeted volume out there that you can capture even a small percentage of that. You will generate wins from that. So
Hmm.
today, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but I want to say roughly 75% of our traffic is still coming from organic search.
Nice.
We have some mixture of paid search, which is very minimal, and referral based traffic as well is kind of where our other two primary sources are from.
That's
Our
amazing, man. You're going old school on that side, right? Like the SEO, this works. And my 2 cents on that is that, I built out my agency and my career around building out websites and doing SEO. And and this is back in Calgary, Canada. And I'm testament to seeing businesses turn around like upside down as soon as their SEO clicked in. And, with this business, I did the opposite and it worked out because we got an opportunity to grow and stuff. But for this year, we've been really focused on SEO. And so before we had 0% organic leads coming in, we're up to around 20% of our leads coming up from 50
Nice.
keywords that are ranked top spots. And we're ranking with businesses like LinkedIn and Indeed. And, that's where we're
Tough
showing up.
competitors.
And I'm just getting excited about it because I know what my team doesn't know, that I've seen businesses turn completely upside down just by having awesome organic SEO dialed in, and we're just getting started on that side. So yeah, I agree that if you can make that happen, that's the best thing you can do.
It's a time investment, and you unlock an unlimited lead source that you're not paying for. So
Yeah.
invest the time into creating that helpful content, share it on social media, send out an email blast. You can leverage that content so many ways. It's not just for SEO, but
Hmm.
man, it pays off dividends.
So Austin, what happens when a lead comes in? What's your sales process like right now?
So right now we are leveraging our account managers for the discovery calls. This is a concept that I've acquired off of some business coaching. I did not come up with this myself, but it works great for a few different reasons. Versus having a salesperson on on these calls, which I was under the impression I need to hire a salesperson.
Hmm.
The problem with that is we have what I consider a velvet rope policy with our company. We don't let in just any client. They have to meet a certain set of standards for us to ensure that we can produce results for them.
Hmm.
Why is that important? Because we want to make sure that we retain our reputation and that honestly, we're treating our clients right. I'm not going to take
Hmm.
money from somebody if I'm not confident that I can put more money back in their pocket each month. That's marketing 101.
Hmm.
So, what is the purpose of any salesperson is to sell. Like they see a nail and they want to hammer it, right? That's not going to work in an atmosphere like this. If you want to
Yeah.
tell a salesperson, hey, you cannot sell these types of people, they're going to sit on their hands and go find another job.
Hmm.
So what I found is using our CX reps to man those discovery calls. We have a scripted type form that we pull up, and anytime a new call comes in, they're only scheduled calls. We do not take one-off calls, inbound calls. We always call them.
Hmm.
That's another sales tactic. But that call is very scripted, and we'll go through the whole call. And the reason the CX managers are great for this is because we train them. If you at any point during this call you feel like you are not comfortable managing this person as an account, that
Hmm.
2% of crazy is hard to put a number on or a KPI around.
That's nice, man.
You tell them, I'm sorry, we're
Amazing.
not going to be a good fit. And we have just a denial script that they can read through.
Hmm.
But they will not see my calendar or talk to me unless they pass through our CX team. They are kind of the firewall between me and
I
everybody.
love that, man. That's a great strategy. Never seen anyone do that, but it makes sense because these people are responsible for retaining the clients. Might as well be the filter of them, have that say before they come inside the organization. That's amazing, man. Love it.
Yeah.
Great, great value bomb there. Okay, so now they go onto your calendar once they've qualified, and from there you have like 1 or 2 step close process, or how does that look?
Yeah. So once they're on my calendar, then I have a very open conversation with them. I just ask, give me a 30,000 foot overview of your company today. Where are you looking to go in the future? I want to make sure that their expectations are in some sort of a real world scenario where we have a guy who's doing, 200K. He's like, I want to do 2.5 million by next year. It's like, all right, buddy, it's not going to happen. um, so, it's I want to just gauge their input, their experience based on working with other agencies, all that kind of stuff. From
Hmm.
there, we go over pricing options, our marketing strategy, and we identify if that aligns with, with what they're looking for. I tell
Hmm.
them up front, I do not hard sell. We do not hard sell. I will not call you if you feel like we're not a good fit. Just say the word. You won't hear from us again.
Hmm.
Our lead flow has allowed us to do that. And I think that's where a lot of agencies struggle is they're grasping at straws. They're
Yeah.
trying to hard sell. They do the cold outreach and that game sucks, right? It's so much easier to turn
Yeah,
people away.
it's exhausting. Been
Hmm.
there, man.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, my friend. But this is great, man. Gives you that control. And the packages that you're selling, roughly, like maybe do you want to share
Yeah.
what pricing are those and what's included in them?
So we actually just redid our entire price structure here for Q4. And the way it works is we're actually working on targeting some franchises again. So some of the 5-star Certa Pro, fresh co painters, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, and providing their franchise owners with value adding marketing services. So their services and their price points are going to look slightly different from our typical customer, but
Mm,
our base program really relies on organic growth. So the way we pitch it as, if we can have your business, your website, your business profile all ranking well in Google organically, like, you're going to do the same thing that happened to us. You're going to unlock an unlimited lead flow that you don't pay for. And the seasonality impact of this industry is going to be much less on your company. We're going to rely on ads, ad spend, that kind of stuff until we get to that point, which can take 12 months or more. Um, but these programs are all going to start roughly at around $2,000 a month, and they'll go all the way up to $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and that is not including ad spend. We
mm.
are adding a ton of value with that. So it's, if you ever read $100 million offers by Alex Hormozy, that is
Yeah.
where we've come up with our structure.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Amazing. Lots of books, and I'm seeing that you're constantly learning, right? I think that's part of the journey as well. That's
Absolutely.
amazing. Both you and I. And I think we're going to list all the books that you mentioned today in the podcast description. And that's great, so that you guys can pick up the book. One last question, Austin. How big, what's the size of your team right now? Because, to me, growth is also proportional to the amount. And then we're also like agencies is a resource intensive business. We need someone to do the work for our clients and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to gauge the idea of how your team is set up, and in which departments do you have these people laid out.
Yeah, so we have 25 team members today, most of which were hired this year. So
Wow.
we went through the whole painful process of learning how to hire, how to vet people, and it's all in house. If you want to take the shortcut, use a company like RepStack. You're going to save yourself the headache of hiring the wrong people, having to fire people. It's painful. We did it for our own reasons, but RepStack and a company like that can help source the people and train them and oversee them will save a ton of time. I picked that path again, just for the sake of my own past experience working with an internal team. That made the most sense to me, but a lot of other people have a lot of other avenues that they can utilize a team that can scale fast. And I cannot overemphasize, I'm currently reading a book right now, Good to Great. And it is all about putting the right people on your team. It is, a lot of people say your strongest asset is your people. No,
Hmm.
your strongest asset are the right people. And that is hard to
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I think I would agree with you there, man. Like having the right people is the most important thing. I think you know, when we're early on in our journeys, we're going to work with a lot of people, a lot of contractors, subcontractors, VAs, and things like that. But the agencies that I've seen who really, really grow, like Austin's agency, I think I've always one thing that is always the same with all these agencies is the focus on the team. And going from 5 people to 20 people, I bet that would have been some sort of a adventure this year, Austin. So congratulations on that, man. That's huge. You built an amazing agency, and yes, guarding. We as agency owners, we have a mission, we have a purpose, and bringing people in and around that purpose is the most important thing. Because if you can bring them in, and these people can come in and they can do their life's work around the mission and the vision that you have as an agency owner, there's no way you can go wrong with that type of people. But like what Austin said, that getting that people is the trick. And you're going to need to spend some time on that. Any resources? I think, Austin, you already mentioned your RepStack is one of them. We recently actually taught a course with Josh Nelson. So we'll put a link of that as well, how you guys can get access to that, because you don't have to work with us, but we give out all the SOPs and things like that on that side too. Anything else you recommend when you're out there looking to hire the right person, Austin? What's worked best for you?
Yeah, the one thing I can recommend, and this goes for any type of company, is culture. People talk about company culture and all that kind of stuff, and I think it's just a overused term. But like, what does that
Mm-hmm.
actually mean? And at the end of the day, how do you implement that for a mostly remote team? Like, we have
Yeah.
some people local here that are part of our leadership team, but for the most part, we're a distributed company all across the United States, and as a result, it can be very difficult to have any sort of a company culture. So we spent a
Mm.
ton of time trying to dial that in. I would consider it still a work in progress, but
Yeah.
the bottom line is you want people to come work for you because they want it. And
Mm.
we have EOS implemented, so the get it, want it capacity to do it. We
Mm-hmm.
evaluate that want it over anything else. If they don't want
Yeah.
that job, they don't want to get out of bed every day, they are not going to be a good fit for your company.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and we'll leave it at that. But this is, I can go on for hours about culture. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Austin, because culture is not something that you can magically build out for your teams. It's really, to me, I think what I've been able to nail it down to is just that you bring in the right people who want to be there, who are not. I was talking to this leader of an agency, and they're a really big agency, and they're 250 people. And when we're planning on building some marketing teams for them, and his concern wasn't that, can this person do this, that, and everything in between. The only thing he kept repeating in that hour long call was, I need mission driven people. I need people who are not in it for the paycheck, who can come in and make their life's work my work that I'm doing. And he thinks he's got this amazing vision, and that's great because he's built a 250-person company already. And I think that's what it is. You bring in these right people around your vision, completely sold on what you want to do, and who are in there. They understand what you're achieving is beyond that. And then these people will make their own culture. We're gonna facilitate that, obviously. Like, we do these virtual coffee breaks, and we have this app on Slack we use called Karma, which rewards them for different actions and things like that. We're
Yep.
going to facilitate that, but by and large, you get a great mission-driven people inside your organization who are sold on your vision and your mission. You see the magic happen, and then that's what's going to build up the culture. Austin, thanks for being on the show, man. This was
Thanks for having me.
amazing. I wish we had more time. I was hoping to see you in November at Josh's event, but looks like you're headed over to Tony Robbins. Say my highs to Tony. I'm a big fan, and hopefully, when I catch up with you, I'll learn what you learned at Tony's event.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to share.
Thanks a lot, Austin. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Cheers.
Bye bye.